My friends, let me ask you something honestly. Why do some people completely transform their lives while others stay stuck in the same place for 20 or 30 years? It is not intelligence, it is not education, and it is definitely not luck. The truth is much simpler and much harder to accept. Your future is not controlled by big decisions. It is controlled by small habits you repeat every single day. Some habits quietly build your life. Others slowly destroy it. Today, I want to talk about 5 habits that silently trap millions of people, and if you delete them, your entire life can change. Before we start, I want you to do one thing in the comments. Write one word: change. I read the comments and I want to know who here is truly ready to change their life. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Now, my friend, let me tell you something most people will never admit. Let me tell you a story. When I was young, many people around me believed life was already decided. If you were born in a small city, they said your life would remain small. If you failed in school, they said success was impossible. If you were rejected, they said you should accept your position in the world. And many people believed this. But one day I realized something strange. The problem was not opportunity. The problem was thinking. People were trapped not by the world, but by the habits inside their minds. You see, habits are invisible chains. Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to ruin their future. It happens slowly. A habit of doubt, a habit of fear, a habit of waiting for the perfect moment. Day by day, these habits quietly shape the direction of a life. And the most dangerous part, they feel normal. Some people wake up every day and immediately look for problems. They complain about the economy. They complain about their boss. They complain about their situation. But they never examine the patterns of thinking that keep them stuck. My friend, let me be honest with you. Your life tomorrow will look very similar to your life today unless you change the habits controlling your decisions. When I started my journey, I was not a genius. I was not rich. I was rejected more times than most people can imagine. Universities rejected me. Jobs rejected me. Even KFC rejected me when 24 people applied and 23 were accepted. I was the only one rejected, but rejection did not trap me. The only thing that could have trapped me was the habit of believing rejection meant the end. Some people experience failure and immediately create a dangerous habit. They begin telling themselves a story. Maybe success is not for people like me. That story becomes a habit. And once a belief becomes a habit, it becomes a prison. Think about how powerful that is. 2 people can face the exact same rejection. One person quits, the other becomes stronger. The difference is not intelligence. It is the habits inside their mind. Successful people develop habits that support growth. Average people unknowingly repeat habits that protect comfort. Comfort feels safe, but comfort slowly kills ambition. Many people say they want success, but their habits say something very different. They delay action. They avoid risk. They wait for perfect conditions. My friend, perfect conditions do not exist. Every successful person you admire started in uncertainty. They started with doubt. They started with fear. But they did something different. They refused to let destructive habits control their future. And this is where most people make their biggest mistake. They try to change their life by adding something new, new goals, new strategies, new plans. But the real transformation begins somewhere else. It begins with deleting the habits that weaken you. You cannot build a strong future on top of weak patterns. First, you must remove the habits that keep pulling you backward. And the first habit, the one that quietly destroys millions of lives, looks completely harmless. In fact, most people believe it is normal. But once you see it clearly, you will realize why so many people stay stuck for their entire lives. Let me tell you something very honest, my friend. Some of the most talented people in the world never become successful. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because they develop the wrong habits of thinking. You see, intelligence without discipline can become a dangerous thing. I have met many very smart people, people with degrees from great universities, people who can analyze markets, predict trends, and explain complicated ideas. But 10 years later, they are still standing in the same place. Why? Because intelligence alone does not build a life. Habits do. Let me explain something important. When I was young, people around me always talked about luck. They would say, if I had the right opportunity, my life would be different. Or they would say, successful people are just lucky. But one day, I realized something very powerful. Luck is often just preparation meeting opportunity. And most people are never prepared. Not because they cannot prepare, but because they develop the most destructive habit a person can have. The habit of blaming everything except themselves. This habit is extremely dangerous because it feels logical. If the economy is bad, people blame the economy. If their boss is unfair, they blame the boss. If someone else succeeds, they blame connections or privilege. But blaming something does not change it. Let me tell you something from my own life. When I applied for jobs and was rejected again and again, I could have blamed the system. Many people around me did exactly that. They said companies were unfair. They said the world was difficult. But complaining never builds anything. Builders ask a different question. They ask, what can I improve? This question changes everything. Average thinkers ask, who is responsible for my problem? Builders ask, what is my responsibility in solving it? That small difference in thinking creates two completely different futures. The moment you blame something outside yourself, you give away your power. Because if the problem is outside you, you cannot control it. But the moment you take responsibility, something powerful happens. Suddenly you regain control over your future. And this is where many smart people become trapped. They understand problems very well. They can explain why things are difficult. They can describe the unfairness of life. They can analyze the economy and criticize leadership. But analysis is not progress. Complaining is not progress. Understanding why something is difficult does not change the outcome. My friend, success rewards action, not explanation. I have seen people spend years discussing why they cannot succeed, years explaining their situation, defending their excuses, justifying their delay. Meanwhile, someone with less intelligence, less experience, and fewer advantages quietly starts building. That person moves forward while others are still explaining why progress is impossible. This is why I often say something that surprises people. Sometimes being too comfortable in your thinking can stop you from growing. When you believe you already understand everything, you stop looking for new possibilities. Builders stay curious. They stay humble. They stay willing to learn. But people trapped in the habit of blaming slowly lose their ability to change. And here's the most dangerous part of this habit. At the beginning, blaming feels like relief. It protects your ego. It protects your pride. It gives you a story that makes failure feel acceptable. But over time, it quietly destroys your future. Because every time you blame something outside yourself, you delay your own growth. And life does not wait. Opportunities move forward. Industries change. New ideas appear. The world keeps evolving. But people who are stuck in the habit of blaming remain exactly where they are. Let me tell you something I learned after many failures. Failure is painful. Yes. Rejection hurts. Yes. But those experiences contain valuable information. They show you where to improve. They show you where to grow stronger. Blame removes that lesson. Blame hides the truth that could transform your life. And this is why so many intelligent people remain frustrated. They know many things, but they never change the habits that control their thinking. My friend, the moment you remove the habit of blaming, your life becomes very different. Suddenly, every problem becomes a challenge you can learn from. Every rejection becomes data. Every difficulty becomes training. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start asking a much more powerful question. What can this teach me? That question creates growth. But there is another habit even more dangerous than blaming others. In fact, many people listening right now are doing it every single day without even realizing it. And once you see it clearly, you will understand why so many dreams quietly disappear before they even begin. My friend, let me tell you a moment that changed my life. There was a time when I realized something very uncomfortable. The biggest obstacle in my life was not money. It was not education. It was not even rejection. The biggest obstacle was thinking like everyone around me. You see, most people learn their mindset from their environment. If people around them believe success is rare, they believe it too. If people around them believe risk is dangerous, they believe it too. If people around them say dreams are unrealistic, they slowly accept that idea. Without realizing it, they inherit the fears of other people. And once those fears become habits of thinking, They quietly shape every decision. Many people say they want a different life, but their thinking is still controlled by the same patterns that created their current situation. My friend, you cannot create a different future using the same mindset that built your present. At some point, every person who builds something meaningful experiences a moment of realization. A moment when they understand they must stop thinking like the crowd. Average thinking is very comfortable. Average thinking says, be careful. Average thinking says, wait for the perfect time. Average thinking says, what if you fail? But builders ask different questions. They ask, what if this works? They ask, what can I learn if it fails? They ask, how can I grow faster than yesterday? You see, average thinkers are trying to avoid failure. Builders are trying to accelerate learning. That difference completely changes the direction of a life. When people look at successful entrepreneurs, they often believe those people were confident from the beginning. They imagine they were fearless, certain, and always sure about their decisions. That is not true. When I started Alibaba, many people told me it was impossible. They said Chinese companies could never compete globally. They said the internet business would not survive. Some people even laughed at the idea. And honestly, sometimes I doubted myself too. But I understood something important. Fear is natural. What matters is the habit you build when fear appears. Average thinking runs away from fear. Builder thinking walks directly toward it. Because fear usually points toward growth. Every major step in life feels uncomfortable at first. Starting a company feels uncomfortable. Speaking your ideas feels uncomfortable. Taking responsibility feels uncomfortable. But comfort never creates transformation. Comfort only maintains the life you already have. My friend, if you truly want to change your life, you must develop a new habit questioning the limits other people accept. When someone says something cannot be done, ask yourself why. When someone says success is impossible, ask yourself who decided that. When people say the world is unfair, ask yourself how you can create opportunity anyway. Builders do not wait for the environment to improve. They build within the environment they have. And this shift in thinking creates something powerful. Instead of seeing obstacles everywhere, you begin to see possibilities everywhere. Instead of feeling trapped by problems, you start searching for solutions. Instead of waiting for permission, you begin creating your own path. That is the moment your mindset truly changes. But let me pause here for a second. If this message is helping you see your life differently, do two things right now. Subscribe to the channel and like this video, because this channel is dedicated to sharing the kind of ideas that help people build stronger minds and stronger futures. And I want to know something from you. If you believe you are ready to think differently from the crowd, write Builder in the comments. I read the comments and I want to see how many builders are here today. Now, my friend, changing your thinking is powerful, but mindset alone is not enough, because there are still 5 habits that quietly sabotage ambition. Habits that destroy discipline, weaken persistence, and slowly push people back toward average thinking. And the first one is something almost everyone does when life becomes uncomfortable. The habit of chasing quick success. My friend, let me tell you something very simple but very powerful. Success is not magic. People often imagine that successful entrepreneurs discovered some secret formula, some hidden opportunity that others could not see. But after many years of building companies, meeting leaders, and watching thousands of people try to change their lives, I realized something very different. Success is often not about what you add. Success is about what you remove. Because many people are not failing because they lack knowledge. They are failing because certain habits quietly sabotage their growth every single day. These habits look harmless. They feel normal. Society even encourages some of them. But if you truly want to change your life forever, there are 5 habits you must delete immediately. Let me explain them clearly. Habit 1. Blaming everything except yourself. The first habit is blaming. This habit is extremely comfortable. When something goes wrong, blaming someone else protects your ego. It gives you an explanation that removes responsibility. It makes failure easier to accept, but it also removes your power. If your boss is responsible for your situation, you cannot change it. If the economy is responsible for your situation, you cannot control it. If luck is responsible for your situation, you must wait for it. Blame feels like relief, but it quietly steals control over your life. Builders think differently. Instead of asking who caused this problem, they ask, what can I improve? When you take responsibility even for situations that are not completely your fault, something powerful happens. You begin searching for solutions instead of excuses, and solutions move life forward. I learned this lesson early. When I was rejected from many jobs, I could have blamed companies. I could have blamed the system, but instead I asked myself what skills I needed to develop. That question built my future. Blame would have destroyed it. So if you want to change your life, the first habit to delete is blaming. Habit 2, chasing quick success. Now let me tell you about the second habit. This one is extremely dangerous in the modern world. Many people today are obsessed with quick success. They want fast money, fast growth, fast results. They see someone become successful online and believe success should happen quickly. They watch stories of billionaires and imagine the journey was easy. But the truth is very different. Real success is slow. When we built Alibaba, it took years before people believed in the idea. Many investors rejected us. Many experts said the internet would not grow in China. For a long time, progress felt invisible. But we stayed patient. Most people quit because they expect results too soon. They work for 3 months and expect success. They work for 6 months and expect recognition. They work for 1 year and believe the world owes them something. But life does not work that way. If you plant a tree today, you cannot sit under its shade tomorrow. Builders understand this. They build systems. They build habits. They build long-term momentum. People chasing quick success jump from one opportunity to another. They start something new every few months. They chase trends. They chase trends. They chase shortcuts. And because of that, they never stay anywhere long enough to grow something meaningful. Patience is not weakness. Patience is strategic power. Delete the habit of chasing fast results, and suddenly you give your dreams enough time to grow. Habit 3, fear of rejection. The third habit is fear of rejection. Let me ask you something honestly. How many ideas never become reality because someone is afraid of what others might say? Fear of rejection stops people from starting businesses. Fear of rejection stops people from sharing ideas. Fear of rejection stops people from taking leadership. But rejection is not the enemy. Rejection is information. Every successful person you admire has faced rejection many times. The difference is, they do not interpret rejection as the end of the road. They interpret it as feedback. When I applied for jobs and was rejected repeatedly, it hurt. Of course it hurt. Nobody enjoys rejection. But if I allowed that rejection to define my identity, my story would have ended very early. Instead, I treated rejection as training. Each rejection strengthened my persistence. And persistence is more powerful than talent. People who fear rejection avoid opportunities. They stay silent when they should speak. They stay comfortable when they should grow. And slowly their world becomes smaller. Builders accept rejection as part of the journey. If you are never rejected, you are probably not attempting anything meaningful. So delete the habit of fearing rejection. Rejection is not failure. It is progress in disguise. Habit 4, comparing your life to others. The fourth habit is comparison. Today, this habit is everywhere. Social media shows people traveling, celebrating success, buying houses, building companies. It creates the illusion that everyone else is moving faster than you. And many people begin comparing their lives to those images. Comparison is extremely dangerous because you are comparing your behind-the-scenes reality to someone else's highlight reel. Every person's journey is different. Some people succeed early, some people succeed later. Some people build slowly but build something extremely strong. When you constantly compare yourself to others, you lose focus on your own path. And success requires focus. Imagine a runner in a marathon constantly turning his head to look at other runners. What happens? He slows down. But when a runner focuses only on his own rhythm, his own pace, his own strategy, he moves forward with strength. Life works the same way. Do not measure your progress by someone else's timeline. Measure it by your own growth. Are you stronger than last year? Are you wiser than last year? Are your habits improving? That is what matters. Builders compete with their previous selves. Average thinkers compete with other people. Delete the habit of comparison and suddenly your energy returns to where it belongs, your own journey. Habit 5, quitting too early. And now we arrive at the fifth habit. This one destroys more dreams than failure ever could. Quitting too early. Let me tell you something important. Most successful stories look obvious in hindsight. When people see a successful company today, they imagine the path was clear from the beginning. But during the early stages, success looks very uncertain. Progress feels slow. Doubt appears constantly. And this is where many people quit. They quit when the results are not immediate. They quit when obstacles appear. They quit when others criticize their ideas. But success often happens just beyond the moment when most people stop trying. Many people are much closer to success than they realize, but they cannot see it because they quit during the difficult phase. Building something meaningful always requires endurance. There will be moments when progress feels invisible. There will be moments when people doubt you. There will be moments when you doubt yourself. But persistence is what separates builders from dreamers. Dreamers imagine success. Builders stay in the game long enough to reach it. So if you truly want to change your life forever, delete this final habit. Do not quit when things become uncomfortable, because discomfort is often the sign that growth is happening. My friend, if you remove these 5 habits, blaming, chasing quick success, fearing rejection, comparing yourself to others, and quitting too early, you create space for something powerful. Discipline, patience, resilience. These qualities build extraordinary lives. But there is still one final decision every person must make. A decision that determines whether these ideas remain inspiration or become transformation. My friend, before we finish, let me tell you something very important. Many people love listening to motivational speeches. They watch videos, they read books, they feel inspired for a few hours, sometimes even a few days. But then, life returns to normal. Why? Because inspiration does not change your life. Decisions do. Real change begins the moment you make a clear decision about who you are going to become. You see, life does not suddenly transform because you heard a powerful idea. Life transforms when you begin acting differently every single day. And that begins with a decision. Let me explain something I learned through many years of failure, struggle, and building companies. Your future is not built by your biggest goals. Your future is built by your daily habits. People often ask me, Jack, what is the secret to success? They expect a complicated answer, maybe a special strategy or a hidden formula. But the truth is much simpler. Successful people simply refuse to keep the habits that destroy their progress. They remove the habits that weaken their discipline. They remove the habits that feed fear. They remove the habits that keep them thinking small. And once those habits disappear, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become stronger. Your direction becomes focused. Let me ask you something honestly right now at this moment. What habits are controlling your life? Maybe it is the habit of blaming when things go wrong. Maybe it is the habit of waiting for the perfect moment. Maybe it is the habit of comparing your life to others. Or maybe it is the habit of quitting when progress becomes difficult. My friend, these habits quietly shape your destiny. Not tomorrow, not next year, but starting today. Many people believe life changes through dramatic moments. They imagine success arrives with a huge opportunity, a big breakthrough, or a sudden transformation. But real transformation is much quieter. It happens when you decide that your habits must change. And the moment you make that decision, something inside you becomes stronger. You begin thinking differently. You begin acting differently. You begin choosing growth instead of comfort. That is when your future begins to shift. Let me tell you something I believe deeply. The world does not reward people who simply dream about success. The world rewards people who build the habits necessary to achieve it. Dreams are important, yes, but dreams without discipline remain dreams. Dreams without persistence remain wishes, and dreams without action slowly fade away. Builders understand this truth. They understand that success is not about being the smartest person in the room. It is about staying committed longer than everyone else. It is about waking up when motivation disappears and still doing the work. It is about continuing when progress feels slow. It is about believing in your direction even when others cannot see it yet. My friend, your future is not determined by your past. Your past may contain failure. Your past may contain rejection. Your past may contain mistakes. But none of those things define your future. What defines your future is the habits you choose starting today. Every day you repeat a habit, you are casting a vote for the person you will become. If you repeat habits of discipline, patience, and persistence, you slowly build a powerful life. If you repeat habits of blame, fear, and comparison, you slowly limit your potential. The choice is always happening every day. And the good news is this: you can change your habits at any time. No matter your age, no matter your situation, no matter how many mistakes you made in the past, your next decision can begin a completely new direction. That is the power every human being has. But most people never use it. They wait, they delay, they tell themselves they will start tomorrow, next month, next year. But tomorrow becomes another tomorrow, and suddenly years pass. My friend, do not wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is a myth. The real moment is now. Now is when habits change. Now is when discipline begins. Now is when your future quietly starts moving in a new direction. And before we finish, I want to ask you something. If you are truly ready to delete the habits that are holding you back, then you must be ready to take control of your life. Write any bold life in the comments, because I want to know how many people here are ready to take responsibility for their future.
Also, subscribe to this channel and like this video if you want more ideas that challenge your thinking and help you build a stronger mindset.
This community is for people who want to grow, who want to build, and who refuse to stay average. Remember something very simple. Your life does not change when you hope for something better. Your life changes when your habits become stronger than your excuses. Delete the habits that weaken you. Build the habits that strengthen you. And one day, you will look back at this moment and realize something powerful. The life you once believed was impossible began the day you decided to.